Est-ce qu'on commence par le rosé?
Allez.
Okay. Bon, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Welcome to Chateau Leray. We are very pleased that you are joining us here tonight. My name is Sarah. I'm joined here by my colleague from the boutique, Alexis, and we're here with our general director, Jean-Christophe, because it's actually his home that we're visiting today. So thank you for inviting us to see the vines, to taste these wines with you.
My pleasure. Welcome.
We're working on getting through all of the different vineyards, the different properties that Vignobles has in our portfolio. And tonight we're going to be discussing 5 different wines. We're going to talk about Enclos de Viau and the 3 different wines that we have under that label, and then Chateau Leray, the 2 different wines that we have there. So I think by the color in our glass, we can see that we've got some rosé here. We'll get straight to the tasting, if you like. If anyone does have any questions, please don't hesitate to send them to us. We will answer them a little bit at a time, and we'll see what we can learn, what we can find out tonight.
First of all, so I have to say sorry for the connection. We are in the middle of nowhere, in the little village of Saint-Colombe, and the 4G doesn't exist yet. So we have a small 3G. So sorry for the in and out connection. This is the real life in France. May I say a few words about Enclos de Viau?
By all means, please.
You're so kind. Enclos de Viau, first of all, is a vineyard that we own in La Lande de Pomerol. This is a chateau we bought in 2011. Same timing than when Peter Kwok and the family Kwok invested in Chateau La Patache. There was a package with La Patache and Enclos de Viau. A very fortunate package because Enclos de Viau is a mini estate. We are talking about just a few hectares, very, very small. We for the red wine we produce more or less 10,000 bottles. Very small. That's a boutique winery, as you say in US.
Okay.
Beautiful fine gravels. So that's a great terroir. And in the past years, we had a lot of demands for rosé and white wine. So far, we have not planted the vineyard for those wines. So we decided under the label Enclos de Viau to work with a friend and a very, very fine producer in the Entre-deux-Mers area, in the heart of Bordeaux. We selected some incredible plots of limestone on a very, very great area. And for example, this rosé is coming from those plots. Limestone means acidity, balance in the wine. And it's a real rosé. In Bordeaux, we have a majority of bleedings. So you make red and then you make some rosé. No, here it's a real rosé, like in Provence. Those plots are only for rosé. I say Provence because when you look at the color, you are totally in a Provence-like color. And the rosé, which is made with a majority of Merlot for the structure, and some Cabernet Franc for the minerality, for the detailed aromas, and a lovely wine, I think.
I love it. For an everyday wine, for rosé wine, maybe you prefer rosé to drink rosé in summer or all year long. But here in France, for the summer, it's an everyday, very nicely balanced. You have fruits, you have you have something in your glass. In some rosé, they are maybe sometimes too light. Here, it's balanced. You have this acidity, you have this freshness, and you have also the freshness.
There's a structure. It's a kind of a rosé plus. It's a rosé that, of course, is going to be perfect by the pool or as an aperitif. by itself, but it's also got enough structure, enough freshness in the acidity, enough of the fruit characteristics, which are in the strawberry range, um, uh, that we could marry this with food as well. Lighter dishes, a white flesh fish. This is going to be very easy, maybe too easy to drink.
Well, clearly it's not like a Bordeaux like with a big structure, but you have a very decent tannic structure. So this is not only for, wine for fun. This is something you can drink right now, as we do now, because I don't see most of you speaking of wine. And this is a wine that you can also deal with food and white meat, something like that. So it's fun because Bordeaux didn't have a great image for rosé wine. It's very new, and this region is becoming a real competitor to the Provence, which is the kingdom of rosé in France, because the quality is there and the price also is really cool.
Very interesting price.
I think you are selling that at a very, very cool price, and the quality price ratio is just amazing.
Absolutely. Even with the delivery costs to countries where we are able to ship this wine into, it still rivals some of the top name rosé wines in terms of quality, and the term of price as well. It ends up being much less expensive than some of the more well-known ones that don't have as much body and structure in their rosés.
And don't worry if you don't drink it all before the end of summer. It's still good next year and next summer.
It's a rosé with a real structure. So that's not a rosé with a 6 months life potential. It's a rosé that will have a good aging for a year and a half without problem. That being said, the rosé is meant to be drank during the season, and that's the target number one. We are tasting the 2019, so this is the cuvée for this summer.
Don't worry, we will be opening many bottles of this one this summer, I imagine.
So number two, I think we switched to white wine. En Clos de Viau white wine. So from the same area, Entre deux Mers, same limestone terroir, and that's even more important for white wine. Majority of Sauvignon Blanc and a little bit of Semillon. Sauvignon Blanc for sure for the purity, for the citrus aromas, and Semillon for the structure. We are very proud of this white wine. It's not easy to make a very, very good Sauvignon Blanc in Bordeaux, because you can very easily go in the cliché like wine. Sorry for the image, but Cat's something like that. It's this one is really pure. That's what I like. Limestone, purity, minerality. That's a lovely wine.
Those grapefruit and gooseberry and really citrus top notes are very prominent with this wine. Highly aromatic. Absolutely a good pairing with some oysters from Arcachon, or crevettes, shrimp. This is definitely a good shrimp cocktail wine. But plenty of other things will marry well with this. What do you use the Blanc with, Alexis?
A white like this, as aromatic as this one, I drink it by itself.
Ah, okay. Excellent. Yeah, it's got enough going on that it can.
I would transfer myself. We have our American friends right now. If I could, I would transfer myself to Boston. I have a good friend, good restaurant there, and get some crab cake or something like that. Easy, simple, but that would match perfectly.
Right. I don't think white wine in this style is meant to really be too complicated. It's meant to be able to open up at the last minute, have something with enjoy it.
So this is a wine that will age perfectly for 2 years without a problem. But the idea is really to drink it on the primarily aromas. citrus, pineapple, etc. We didn't say that, but there is no oak.
Mm.
Purity of the fruit. We don't want any cosmetic on this one.
Mhm.
Fruit. That's really cool. A very the word is not very nice to say, but mouth salivating wine. This one and the coming ones, but for us at Vignobles, for our technical team, it's always the leitmotif, mouth salivating wine, because the first glass is an appeal for the second glass.
And definitely wants to open up more and more.
So that's also the 19 vintage. Great vintage, rosé, white, red. It was a global good vintage for Bordeaux, and the wines that we drink now are
Là, en fait, il est en mode régression. Ouais.
I'm sorry, Rashida, but we hear you.
Sorry.
Now we're going to move on to the red, Enclos du Vieux. Le Long de Pomerol is the appellation contrôlée. And for those of you that are familiar with the appellations, the satellite appellations of the right bank, Le Long de Pomerol has always kind of been the secret. We've got some similar terroir. We've got excellent terroir in Le Long de Pomerol, but Pomerol always gets the spotlight. Tell us a little bit about the vineyard there at Enclos du Vieux.
Enclos du Vieux, it's a treat. It's very simple. Our Estate de Vieux, we have a neighbor called Chateau de Vieux, so that's an area called Vieux. This area Vieux is basically a few blocks away from Pomerol. So we are, when I say a few blocks away, it's like 400 meters away. Mm-hmm. What is interesting in that part of La Lande de Pomerol is we are on fine gravel. I like that. That's super elegant. The wines are just beautiful. That's what you like in Pomerol. This is this feminine, charming, and great texture in terms of tannins. The tannins are very friendly with your palate. That's what you like in La Lande. I like to emphasize that we are tasting 2015 vintage. That's just wonderful vintage. You have the sun in your glass. That was the solar vintage, but with a good acidity, so the balance is there. And well, we tasted the wine 30 minutes ago on a previous tasting, and I said the wine is al dente. The wine is just perfect right now. It's on the peak. It's gonna be there for some years. It's beautiful. You have the fruit, you have the power, the acidity is there to balance everything, and the finish is mouth salivating, and that's super elegant. I like it. I think it's a great timing to drink it now.
Enclos du Vieux is a wine that's meant to be drunk young and right now, but we've also seen how it has, because of the terroir, because of the quality of the fruit, the ability to do a little bit of aging. We recently tried in the boutique, the 2009 Enclos du Vieux, and we had a beautiful wine.
Yeah, beautiful surprise. The wine was still there and still some structure, even if it was 2009. And here I think we tasted for 2015. What I can see here is that it's not a very young wine or not a very old wine, but you start to have the first note of evolution, and you have here some truffly, mushroomy notes. So typical from the Merlot from this area, and so pleasant as well.
Yeah, starting to hit its stride in 2015.
I have some truffle note. Little bit of truffle notes.
Maybe more mushroomy than truffle, but it's not
something. But it's the one of the signature of Pomerol and La Lande. With sometimes is always those black truffle notes. It's starting here to come at. It's a nice bottle. It's a great wine.
The fruit is still very prominent. It's in the black fruit range: mulberry, blackberry. but then we see with some age, it kind of gives us that confiture of prune characteristic. Just a complex wine. And not difficult to open up a bottle on kind of an everyday basis. It's a good Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night wine, and it goes with a wide range of food.
Cool. Thanks God it's Wednesday night.
we're right in line.
Just to also to mention this detail to our friend, that's what in US we would call boutique winery. So every vintage we make in between 2 and 3 million bottles. Joking, of course. We make we make on a fantastic vintage, very generous vintage. We can make up to 9,000, 10,000 bottles. But for 19, for example, very good quality, we're gonna make 6,000 bottles. So that's very tiny in terms of production, but the terroir and the quality is there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Hollande de Pomerol.
Satellite appellations. When you are in Saint-Emilion, you can find, you can have some beautiful treasure in the montagne, Saint-Georges, Saint-Emilion, and this is the same thing for Pomerol and Hollande de Pomerol.
Absolutely. It's nice to look outside of the appellation contrôlée of Saint-Emilion for the hidden gems, the little secrets that give us incredible wines, but for more of an everyday price.
The tobacco notes are coming also.
Yeah. So now we'll move on to Castillon Côtes de Bordeaux. Speaking of satellite appellations, Castillon is about 6 kilometers outside of Saint-Emilion, not even.
So outside of the village of Saint-Emilion, but the first estate, our friends from Château Faugère, Grand Cru Classé, are a few blocks away. They are 500 meters away from here. So we are really at the border, I might say. The two appellations are kind of continuity in terms of terroir, especially on the plateau. So that's very interesting.
There are a lot of big names, big families that have had projects in Castillon or are starting to become more interested in Castillon. Is that because there's more land available, or is it maybe something in the climate that is becoming interesting?
So yeah, you have a lot of famous producers from Saint-Emilion, like Pavie, for example, or in Pomerol, Église, Clinet, who have estate in Castillon for many years, and now you have more and more new players in Castillon for various reasons. First of all, basically it's because the price per hectare is lower than Saint-Emilion. That's a good reason. But also because the typicity of the terroir in here where we are right now is a bit specific. We have a little bit more acidity in the terroir. We are talking about global warming, and well, it looks like this additional acidity is a real plus right now to work on the balance, and so yeah, it's one of the reasons. But some people are now starting to rediscover Castillon. If you go back 80 years ago, Castillon was more well known than Saint-Emilion. So history, life has changed things. But we have some special areas in Castillon. Here we are in the village of Saint-Colombe, with Belvès, Saint-Philippe, different areas where you can find great wines. It's not only us, of course. You have other great producers.
They're good neighbors in the area.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, this is definitely Chateau Loré is a little bit different than what we find in Bordeaux. The first indication is when you look at the shape of the bottle, it's more of the Burgundy bottle instead of the Bordeaux bottle. Why? Why do we?
It's a kind of it's a bet. In fact, so we bought this estate in 2015. Our first vintage was 16. So I say we bought because Peter Kwok, the owner of Vignoble K, is the main owner. I am a co-owner. I live here, so that's why I'm very happy to welcome you home tonight. And we have a third owner from Belgium, a very good friend called Philippe Lambrecht, who is a very well-known wine importer. He's Mr. Domaine de la Romanée-Conti in Belgium, so serious player. And so we are the three of us, co-owners of Chateau d'Ory. And to make a long story short, when we bought this estate, so we said, okay, what are we going to do now? Are we going to make the best first wine and try to compete, to fight with the best wines of the appellation like Chateau d'Aiguille or others? That was a possibility, but it was nothing new to go in that direction. And because I was living there, I was walking around every day, and I just noticed something very basic. We are right now, I don't know if you can see behind you see the dog right now, but behind the dog, there is the vineyard. Here we are on the limestone. And before the live show, I was showing to Sarah the limestone. In fact, the soil is like that, a few centimeters, and then you have pure limestone. So the vineyard really has to go, the roots have to go in the limestone. So that's one part of the estate. And there is 50 meters away, a second part, but which is 20 meters down, no more limestone, pure blue clay, very deep blue clay. And in our world of Bordeaux, this is the world of blending, assemblage, as we say in French. The tradition is to mix the terroir and make the best blend possible. And here, we said, let's make it in a more Burgundy way. Let's focus on terroir. So we made two cuvées, the ones we are going to taste tonight. One called argileuse. Argileuse means clay in French. So this is a cuvée which is made 100% on blue clay. And the second one is Les Rocheuses, rock, limestone, behind us. So this is the one we are going to taste after. So maybe we should start with Argileuse.
Argileuse in 2018, 80% Merlot, 20% Cabernet Franc, and selected from the parcels that are situated on clay. And if I'm not mistaken, the goal was to catch that purity in the fruit, in the terroir, to really show what those two elements can bring to a wine.
So first of all, we know blue clay quite well because the technical director of Vignoble K, Jérôme Aguirre, and myself, we have been working in Pomerol for long, and blue clay is one of the Petrus, blue clay, etc. Anyway, we know what blue clays can bring in a wine. So here we know that we have this terroir with a little bit more acidity, so it means that you have to wait a little bit for higher maturity. You need to really harvest al dente, and the target here was to make this wine in stainless steel vats, some amphoras, turning winemaking, and no oak.
No oak at all.
At all. So no cosmetic on this one, only the purity of the fruit. That's target number one. Target number two is the whole winemaking is done without sulfur. We just add a little bit of sulfur to protect the wine before the bottling.
For the bottling.
And third, we do a very quick bottling, springtime. So during the lockdown, for example, we did the bottling of the 2019 in April. Why we do a early bottling is because at springtime, the tannins, for those who are tasting the wine, the tannins, the typicity is like, is a little bit like Rhone Valley, Gigondas, that kind of wine, a little bit crazy, black fruit, spices, peppery notes. And when you do this quick bottling, early bottling, you catch those fruits. And you catch it and you leave it in the bottle. So the target on Chateau d'Ory Argileuse is to have this crazy approach and to show to people that Bordeaux can be fun.
I think that's probably what makes it one of my favorite wines in the portfolio. We've had this conversation a lot. This is something that wine geeks really get excited about.
Mhm.
We make a job out of tasting Bordeaux wines every day, and this is something it's Bordeaux, but it's not Bordeaux.
Yeah, and it's at the same time very simple and very atypical for the region. And
Mhm.
so what I like about this wine is this fruitiness. Of course, you mentioned it, the crazy fruitiness of this wine, but also the tenderness and what the clay brings on this wine.
It's a wine that we work a lot with sommelier. And the last time I've been showing that, it was in New York. A very good friend of mine owns a very good restaurant called Racine in New York. And this partnership with one of the most famous French sommelier who lives in New York. It's a fantastic lady who has been awarded best French sommelier, and they were very surprised to on the blind test to see that was Bordeaux, coming from Bordeaux. That's very fun. A wine has to be fun, and I think with this Chateau Laurier Argilez, we tick that case. Fun, good to drink, real structure, another view of Bordeaux.
And polyvalent. We can marry this with a lot of different types of foods. I like to say this is a good charcuterie wine, good for the aperitif, but goes with lots of different kinds of cuisine.
And we are the first one to be amazed by the success of this wine with the sommelier. The international press, the American press, has gave us crazy ratings, really crazy, because it's good for us. We are happy, we are proud, and well, it's a wine to pour when you have friends coming home on a blind test. Just say nothing, and you see the answers. One important thing I said, it's a Rhone-like wine. There is some power. It's good to taste this wine a little bit not chilly, but you put that at more or less 16 Celsius. I don't know Fahrenheit, but
let's say 20 minutes in the refrigerator.
It's good, perfect. You are very pragmatic. Yeah, that's perfect.
No, it's true, and that makes it a nice red wine for the summertime also. When it's 40 degrees or 100 degrees outside, Grand Cru Classé is not going to be real pleasing in the mouthfeel. So this is something that we can open up when we have a lot of guests over for a barbecue or for a pool party. It's easy to keep it chilled and serve with a wide range of. It's a food wine. It's a wine pour se faire plaisir, to just enjoy.
Exactly. So number 2 is the second cuvée, as I explained before. This is called Les Rocheuses. Rocheuse means rocky in French. So this is limestone. This is the vineyard we have so behind the dog. The dog is playing with bees right now.
Bees are good. Bees are friends.
She's young and crazy. So we are on limestone. So Les Rocheuses is back to a more classical style. We could easily compare this wine to our wines in Saint-Emilion, Belfond-Belsier, or Saint-Christophe in terms of style. The limestone is giving us a lot of minerality, a lot of freshness. It's also 2018. Big structure, but this big structure is very well carried by the acidity. We have perfect pH on this wine, and so the first one, Argilez, was very exploding, a very round wine. This one will be more long wine with the texture, the great texture, the elegance. What do you think, my friend?
Yeah, you say, I don't know if you can say it in English, but we can say in French that a wine is straight, and you have this acidity who guide the palate of this wine and give it a lot of freshness, we can say maybe saltiness as well, and at the same time it's generous and very fine at the same time.
It's got a richness to it that's pleasing, that feels good in the mouth, and it continues. It's got a very long finish. Same blend, 80% Merlot, 20% Cabernet Franc. I think that was kind of the interesting experiment. We've got the same vintage wine, same percentage blend, same people making it, but the styles are completely different. There is something other than just the terroir that's different with Merlot shoes, and it's because of the limestone. We had to put it in oak a little bit.
That's true. I forgot to mention that. That's very important. We talked before about the blue clay, the very soft tannins. When you're on you need the tannins of oak to civilize your wine.
Just soften them a little bit.
So we're going to use the barrels not for flavors. We don't want the flavors. We don't want the caramel or whatever flavors from oak. No, we just want the oak tannin. Basically, what we do that I've done a vintage or 2 vintages in Pomerol, Tourmaline or La Patache. They come here and we do a 12 month, 14 months aging in those barrels, which enables us to civilize those tannins coming from this soil, from the rock, and make something super elegant and straight. I like the straight. Clearly, this is a wine that you can enjoy now. We opened the bottle just before the tasting, so I would open that at least 2 hours before drinking and put that in a decanter, and you shake a little bit, needs some air. But that's a bottle that you can keep for 10, 15 years, no problem.
10, 15 years, yeah.
You have this acidity, the mouth-watering effect, it's going to be there and it's going to be solid.
That's exceptional for Castillon, yeah.
And but very, very, again, let's say that you taste argileuse, you taste rocheuse, same people, same blend, only 50 meters. Look at the impact of terroir. It's amazing.
I think that's why I've heard you say that Châteauroux is the laboratory for Vignobles. We're able to do these kinds of experiments and have a little bit of fun, show the skill sets, show the quality of the terroir, the quality of the fruit. Is that the case?
It is the case. We have some liberty here. So when you have liberty, you accept eventually to make some mistakes. But sometimes it's not a mistake. It's a great idea, and you can implement this idea in Saint-Emilion. But for example, I was talking this morning with Howard Kwok, the Peter Kwok's son, and Howard is very motivated to make white wine here. But we can go in any direction, maybe with different varietal.
Oh, okay.
There is a real freedom here. The good thing is we have a great terroir. That's amazing, and there is a soul. I mean, you can see here there is something in the air. It's really cool. And those estates right now at Le Ray, my house is beginning of 18th century. But the other house, we have another house here next to the cellar, is 17th century. And and people were making wine here 300 years ago. We are part of these stories. That's really great. And we are just trying to bring something new, to write a new page, but with our own style.
Excellent.
I think it's the funny part of this project.
Excellent. Well, cheers to Rebels and to experimentation and to continuing to make the best possible wines of most quality fruit as we possibly can. If anybody has any questions, we'd love to hear those. If we don't get your questions tonight, please give us an email at reservation@vignobles.com, and we'd love to give you any information we can about these wines.
It's the opportunity to say to I don't know, we have some, I think, tonight connected to our wine club members, to our Vignoble friends that they are warmly welcome to visit us and stay at Chateau Belfond-Belsier. Now we have a great chateau with many beautiful rooms. And when they come, they will be very welcome to even visit Chateau Le Ray. It's again in the middle of nowhere. There is a very bad phone connection and a crazy dog.
But we've got a great dog.
It's a really cool place, and it's part of our world. We are very lucky with the Kwok family, with Peter Kwok. They gave us some jewels, and our job is really to work on those jewels and make great wines. I think one part of the success that we have with Vignoble right now is the fact that we have wines, we have 7 estates, and we have wines with identities.
Mm-hmm. That's very important, and it's very interesting in a portfolio. That each one is different. Each one represents where it comes from. We don't get bored. We've got a lot to work on, and we've got a lot to open.
Very, very important. And I like the diversity in wine. I like the soul of the wine. And we are online with many of our friends from US. There are a lot of wines that I like in Napa, of course, but in Oregon, in Washington. And what I like is when a wine has a very strong ID. For me, that's very, very important.
Excellent. Well, thank you for having us to your home tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Cheers.
And we wish you a good evening. Enjoy your wines.
Thank you. Have a great day for those in US, and hope to see you soon in France when we are able to fly again and visit and meet us with a great pleasure.
As soon as possible.
Thank you, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Cheers.
Au revoir. Merci.